Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on June 18, 2022 at approximately 6:12 a.m. PST. Finally got things moving in the right direction. So, today let's really get focused, or do our best to get focused anyway. Hopefully you have some aspect of your life that you're aiming at getting organized. Now, I'm looking at the house, and getting major projects underway. Okay, now remember, the reason I call myself a spiritual guide is because of the fact that the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use to make things happen and to change my own life around. Now, with that in mind, you've got, the first thing you've got to have done, and I know I've mentioned this multiple times, but you've got to first and foremost, before you can even figure out where you're heading in all likelihood, get the energy in your office, in the brain of your house, working and running smoothly. Now, right now, most of my office desk where I work is pretty much in order. Okay, all I've got on it is some paperwork that I'm actually working on right now. I've got the computer, I've got the whole setup of the computer here. I've got my printer, and of course I've got my piece of paper where I do my writing. And the nice part about that is my left hand is finally up to where I can actually type. Okay, after the stroke, it's been a long journey. Here I am, 3 years later. Well, it was 2018, so 3.5 years later, really. And I'm finally making headway. Okay, because it was December 28th of last year, of 2018, I had the stroke. Lost the whole use of the left arm and most of the use of the left leg. Right, it was very bad. I couldn't speak, the whole 9 yards. Right, but I've been working ever since, and I remember talking to one person who said after 5 years, I've just come to the conclusion I'm just not going to get there. Right, I'm just going to have to settle for this is the way I am. And I'll tell you, if you accept that, you'll stop healing. It's just that simple. Okay, I've noticed it the other day. I was doing dishes. I could not turn a spoon around in my hand to wash it. Not with my left hand. Okay, it takes a lot of effort. Okay, we are not talking about something that happens, that's easy, but I went from not being able to use my left arm at all. Okay, and now I'm getting back. I still don't have full control over it by any means. Okay, but at least I'm able to type. I'm able to do dishes properly. When I started doing the dishes, after the stroke, I couldn't even hold on to a plate and keep it in my hand. Right. Then it went from there where I had to really apply a lot of pressure to make sure I was holding on to it. Now I can do it without a problem. Writing will come eventually. Okay, well, it's coming now. I still can't write as quick as I used to, but I'm not overly concerned about it. I will get there. But I came to a couple of conclusions. Okay, first and foremost, and again, I will tell you, if you've got troubles using your hand, and this is just the fact that I had a stroke, so I understand firsthand what I did. Okay, my left hand was not healing at all, but I liked my coffee. So instead of putting my coffee where it was easy to pick up, I put my coffee over on my left side, where I really had to focus to pick it up. Now, if you look back at some of my older videos, a year or two back, well, in all fairness, it'd only be a year back, because I started doing the journey. I started recording the journey on March 6th of 2021. Okay, so it's been just over a year now. But if you look at the first videos, when I went to pick up my coffee cup, I'd have to move it really slow. I'd have to watch it to make sure I got it. Now I can just glance where I'm looking for, and I can feel when I'm putting on the wrong thing. Right, but I came to the conclusion. Now, I've mentioned this whole idea of getting organized. You get that whole issue of what are you aiming for. Now, I still use, I'm a bit of a dinosaur. So I still use a physical list. Okay. And what it came to the conclusion of, like I said, on top of making my life run properly, is this little project here. Yeah, that figures. Bury something so I can't actually get at it. But, The Birth of the Wolf Pack. Okay. One of the books out of the Yldrbac Chronicles. Now, I've been trying, I just about lost 40 years of writing. Okay, now granted, I shouldn't say 40 years of it, except for the fact that, well, that's when I started doing the writing. But, obviously I don't need a hard copy of this in order to make sure that I have it all, but I just about lost the soft copies. I've got them all back. Found them all, got them all on disk, got them isolated, so I'm good to go. Right. But I will tell you, to find them took me 4 days to transfer them from the hard drive to a zip drive. And I'll tell you, I was just about ready to throw the whole thing out. Because I thought I had wiped them all out. Because they never didn't copy properly. Finally got them moved. And then I was talking to an individual, and they came up with a brilliant idea. Okay, and they said, well, you've got a printer now, don't you? I says, yeah. So they told me, they said, well, why didn't you print them out and print out what you've got in hard copy so at least you've got the writing? Which I will start doing today. You know, like they said, it's going to cost a little bit. It will. But it's a small price to pay to protect 40 years worth of storyline. You know, so I'll be dealing with that. I will start doing that today. One thing to keep in mind while I'm working on all of this, okay, I came back to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind virtually everybody in existence that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay, but the way to do that is by working together, because we all have massive similarities. Instead, you know, and we've got to stop looking at the differences and creating new differences. Yes, everybody has an individual mind. Okay, I've lived in a world, I've worked with people that have a hive mind, and trust me, it's not as much fun as you might think. Okay, I remember being in another lifetime. I remember being connected to what wasn't a hive mind, but we were totally connected. So there was no need for telephones and that sort of thing. If I wanted to talk to somebody in what amounts to Australia, I just think about it and they'd be online. I'd have connection. We could disconnect if we chose to, but we got so comfortable with it. Right. But people have their own minds. You have free will. You have freedom of choice. Okay, what you don't have is freedom of consequence from your choices. Now, the idea, in my understanding, okay, was for people to work together to make this a better world. Okay, a more enjoyable world, something our kids can look up to. Well, ask yourself this. The ideas you're propagating, okay, the ideas of segregation, of prejudice, of fear that you're promoting, is this the kind of world that you desire your kids to grow up in? Is this the kind of world that is going to make them feel secure? Okay, or is this the kind of world, are you educating the people you're raising? And I like the way it was put, we're not raising kids, we're raising adults. We're caring for kids. But are you raising the people around you? Are you guiding them to be productive members of society, or are you guiding them to feel that they're self-entitled? I'm better than you because I've got more money. Well, I got news for you. That don't make you better, because the one thing we all have in common, okay, we all have this in common. You're all going to die. That's just the way it is. Now, back in Egypt, 5,000 years ago, there was a brilliant idea. We'll put all of our stuff with us because then we can take it with us into the next life. You know what? They're all gone. Their stuff's still here. You got the same problem coming up. Your stuff ain't going with you. Okay. And I've heard all kinds of philosophies that are really different. Okay. But you want to take care of your kids, and this is one of those neat little things that I was having a conversation the other day and it made total sense. Take care of you, make sure you're having a comfortable life, but do it properly. So that if you want to really help your kids after you're gone, and this won't make them feel better. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. All the money in the world will not make them feel better about their loss. But it will make their life a little easier to work with. Now, money is not the be-all and end-all. Okay, so, as I mentioned, you've got to have a project in mind, something that gets you here. Okay, so, I did figure out something tonight, and I'm only touching on this. I'll post it a little later, a little after I'm done this video. I will be talking about somebody called it, and I like the way they called it. Okay. They say nobody ever talks about their journey into hell or about their life in hell. They called it a Tartarian lifetime, which really comes back from the Roman location of Tartarus. Okay. So when I go live today, we're going to have a discussion about that. Okay. That's where part of it's going to come from. Now understand, I am a spiritual guide, a paranormal adept. But I've been doing this since I was 10 years old when it became public knowledge. I've been dealing with people's relationships, with their life and their life path, business, UFO and alien and ancient race, societies, peoples, races, that sort of thing. Missing time, the metaphysical world. You name the field, I've probably dealt with it. Okay, I mean, heck, I had to help somebody take a Triple Crown bloodline horse. And I had to explain to them what was wrong with the horse and why it wouldn't run in a competition. Okay, came up with remarkable results. Okay, I've had to help people with, well, I didn't have to, but I've been asked questions about pretty much everything, including near death, in my case, after death. Okay, been there, done that, a lot of fun. I'll get to that. That's where I'm going to be targeting today. But where it comes to the marketing for the Yldrbac Chronicles, a couple of things I'm going to be working with. Okay, one, I've been asked to show some of the figures that I've got that I've been working on, and this is one of the ones I'm going to be going into, or a similar one to this. Okay, when I do the live feed, I'll be going live today from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, on YouTube. But I'll be posting that as well. But what I'm going to be doing, because I'm back to writing again, solidly, and I've got about 8 or 10 pages left. I think that's about what I've got left. Let's not put that there, because that's going to cause a problem. I just want to get a hold of my book, and I've already covered it. Just because I'm curious as to how many I did. What I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 hard copy pages left to do. I will get them, in all likelihood, transferred onto soft copy today. And then I'll carry on moving forward. But I'll be dealing with getting those transferred, and that's in the current book that I'm working in, the current volume of the Yldrbac Chronicles, which is the Return to Paradise. Okay, I'll be dealing with that today. But something that was suggested, because marketing, like I said, marketing is not my strong suit. So I says, look, I've talked to professional marketers. Okay, I've hired professional marketers because that is my shortfall. That is a weak point of mine. I know this wholeheartedly. But somebody came up and gave me an idea the other day of actually reading excerpts out of the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Not reading the whole story, just take excerpts out of it, and they suggested reading the parts that I thoroughly enjoyed, that I enjoyed writing. Now, some of them I enjoy for different reasons, but the reality of it is I'm going to start working with that. Because the Yldrbacian Chronicles is a project that I started when I was about 15 years old. Okay, now I had the pleasure before, and I think my English teacher from them has passed away. But I did have the pleasure of actually meeting up with her again, and giving her a copy of the book, getting her permission to use her name, her actual name, in the book before she passed away. Okay. Now, that said, I'm using her name as in a tribute to her, because she's what turned it around. Okay. One of the best teachers that I had, and again, I had another teacher a year before that was priceless for teaching. Okay. Now, the reality is, I don't use people's names on video in most cases. There's one person's name I have used. Okay. But, with that in mind, with the Yldrbacian Chronicles, I will be doing shorter versions, and somebody else suggested I do shorter videos as well. I thought about it, but, I run into snags, so some videos I'm going to start doing videos. That came out really poorly. By the way, this is a live recording, meaning I go back, I double check and make sure I got the date right. And once I've got the date right, I just post it as is. I don't edit anything. The quirks, the hiccups, the twists, all of it. You'll see. Okay. But it takes a definite focus on what you're aiming for. If you're not content with your life, if you're not content with the state of a project you're working on, break it down into 15-minute to half-hour tasks. Okay. Where it comes to writing, which is where my major focus is right about now. Okay. Because I've got hard copy here, what has to happen is I look at going, okay, instead of breaking down to 15-minute to half hour, I've broken it down and said, okay, I've got to get X number of pages done. And right now, as a matter of fact, where are we? I just got to double check how far back it goes. 153, I think. I think it's about 153. Nope, that's only 44. Come all the way down here. That's 98, which is not far enough. There we are. And where it ends off, I have written solidly. How far back do we gotta go here? No, definitely not that far. We are only at, what is that? The rescue, okay. We have solid writing to page 119. But we've got 200 pages because we've taken notes and put them in the back end. I've got 200 pages written now out of an estimated 400. Okay. Now, well, that went sideways in a hurry. Anyway, I'm going to leave you. Oh, no, that's only 19, not 29. We're good. Okay. So I've got that dealt with to that point. Okay, and I'm back into the writing swing. I've got everything organized so I can do it. I've got backup sorted around. Get your project in your head. You have to understand when you're looking at how to be successful, which is what this really boils down to, how to successfully complete a task. You've got to have a purpose. What is the task you're aiming for? Okay, and much more importantly, you've got to have a why, a purpose, as in why are you doing it? Okay, or what is the big game? Now, with the Yldrbac Chronicles, the big goal is a 12-volume saga with a couple of, it turns out there's going to be a couple of side books with it. But that big goal is a 12-volume saga. Once you've got that, okay, doesn't matter what the goal is. Maybe your goal is to become successful in as much as, let's say, another goal that I've got is to get this office sorted out and get rid of all the excess junk. Break it down into 15-minute to half-hour tasks where possible. Like, for instance, the way I got this mess over here done is I picked one shelf at a time and went, let's get everything out of the way that we don't desire to have. And then do it one step at a time. If you can't do all your dishes at once, do one. Okay, when I started reminding myself how to use my left hand to get my coffee, I started with the idea of, let's get it done once, and then if that was too much, then I'd take to drinking with my right hand again. Okay, because it didn't take you a day or two to get to where you are. I tell you, it only took me a day to go from fully functional to having my left arm and my left side shut down. Okay, but most of the time it takes a lot more time to build bad habits, to build I shouldn't call them bad habits, really. They're ineffective habits, or they're counterproductive. It's going to take you a little time to turn it around. Okay, now, I will be going into more detail of the little tasks that I do. People, like I said, people have asked me about the painting that I do. Now, I am by no means a professional painter. Okay, but it dawned on me that I've got to do something, and the whole trick, one of the reasons for going to the reading side of it, of the Yldrbac Chronicles, is to give people an idea, real time, of what the story looks like. Why is there? Now, I'm not a professional reader, so you can bet it's not going to read smoothly. Maybe it'll get better in time, but I'm not going to be reading the whole book in order. Okay, I'm also not just going to be reading the highlights. But the reality of it is that that's one way, one suggestion, because I asked you guys and gals, I asked you to give me some ideas on marketing. And a couple of the ideas that came out were shorter videos, right? And reading them, one of them being reading excerpts from my writings, whether it's the Yldrbac Chronicles or whether it's things like this. Okay. And this one is the backbone of how I got my life turned from being on the edge of living on the street to actually being comfortable to saying, okay, I can sit here, and if I do no work, if I get no income, I'm stable, I'm safe for 3 months. I'll tell you, that wipes out your stress level in a real hurry. Okay, the other thing that'll help keep your stress low is once I turn this video on, and once I'm done recording, I'll turn on the music and let it run. Very fast and very high-paced dance music is a great way to bring your energy level up, to help you counteract the effects of depression. You know, yes, medication is necessary sometimes, but on the mild on the mild things, like when you're just feeling down, you've had a rough day, you know, it's been stressful at work. Maybe you've had some customers that were a royal pain in the neck. In all fairness, maybe you were that customer. Okay, and maybe you were a royal pain in the neck because your day had been bad. It is normal. It's not effective, but it is normal. If you've had a bad day, you'll lash out at other people. Okay. Conversely, if you have a really good day, you'll reach out and make somebody happy. Okay, that's just the way it works. Energy out, energy in. Okay, but the same is true about energy in, energy out. If you're treated decently, you're more likely to treat the next person decently. If you're treated poorly, you're more likely to treat the next person poorly. Well, where it comes to your material world, when you desire your world to change, you're the one that's going to have to do it. Okay, now I know where it comes to the Yldrbac Chronicles, I know I can turn it into a going concern. But it's going to take my effort. I've talked to marketers. They said, "Oh, I can make this happen." None of the professional marketers have done and managed to do a thing for me. Okay. However, the people that have said I've got no clue what I'm doing have turned around and helped immensely. Okay. And again, if you've got an idea, it would really be helpful. Okay, it would absolutely be helpful if you would leave your comments in the comments below on ideas on how to spread the word of my writing. Okay, the bigger message is, very seriously, that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. And to that end, I do require your assistance, because one person is not going to change this. Okay. But, if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up, and do subscribe to the channel because there's a lot more coming. I'm not planning on stopping this anytime soon. Okay, now with that in mind, we've got a major job to do. Working together, we can get society back on a happier line. But we've got to stop looking at the idea of what is different. We've got to come up with new and exciting ways to point out differences. Like, the silliest thing I've seen, and, I call it silly because realistically, people talk about unifying this world, about working, about bringing peace. And then somebody comes up with an absolutely bizarre idea. I have no idea who came up with it. Okay. Sorry, there are only two. Now, I'm talking anatomically. I'm not talking about who you think you are, who you identify as. I'm talking physiological, and we've got to separate the two. Okay, you're either male or you're female. Now, there are two people. I'm not talking what you identify as, because if we go that way, okay, what happens when somebody says, I identify as a mushroom, and sits in the corner in the mud? Is this another gender? This is how silly this can get. Take a look, go back and look at human anatomy. You got two genders to work with. Now, sometimes you'll have an hermaphrodite, one that is born with both genders. Now, in a case like that, yes, the parent absolutely has to pick one gender to raise them as. Absolutely. And that falls to the parents. But if you are born only one physical gender, stop trying to point out that you're different because you think different. Because if that's the case, we have roughly, if you look at how you think or what you identify as, in a nutshell, here's the problem. There are roughly 7.6 billion people on the planet. You keep going the route you're on, you're going to have 7.6 billion genders. Okay. Look at the gender as physical. You don't have to agree with me. This is simply my opinion. Okay, everything I say is simply my opinion. Okay, now, I'm going to leave you with that thought. And I will be back again. Well, I'll be online, live, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time today, talking about my life in what you may know as hell, Tartarus, whatever you want to call it. But the term that was used when it was asked was Tartarian. Okay, I'll be doing that in a couple hours here. Okay, well, about an hour and a half. But, that said, I will be back tomorrow, at some point. Until then, take care of yourselves, and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.